The Flute of Larkspur Lane. A quiet town or Larkspur Lane. In the quiet town or Larkspur Lane, where the rooftops were always dusted with golden sunlight, and the river hummed softly through willow trees, there lived a problem no one could ignore. Mice are everywhere. At first, it was just one or two mice scratching in the walls. It was just a nibble at the loaf of bread left unattended. It was just a quick flash of bread disappearing beneath a cupboard. Just mice, said the baker, brushing flour from his hands. But the mice did not remain just mice. Within weeks, they were everywhere. The maniacs of mice. They scampered across tables in broad daylight. They filled the streets at dusk like rippling shadows. They gnawed through sacks of rice, through holes in doors, and squeaked through the night so loudly that no one could sleep. The town people tried everything. They set traps, hundreds of them, but mice were too clever. They brought in cats, but the cats grew frightened and hid. They even called a pest catcher from the next village, but he left after 3 days, shaking his head and muttering, "Never seen anything like this." A place of worry and whisper. Soon, Larkspur Lane became a place of worry and whisper. The mayor, a round man named Mr. Dinselwick, called for a meeting in the town square. "We must solve this," he declared, wiping sweat from his brow. "Our food is disappearing. Our homes are overrun, and our children are afraid to sleep." A crowd gathered, murmuring anxiously. "What can we do? Where did they come from? Will we ever get rid of them?" No one had an answer. A stranger, until one evening, just as the sun dipped below the hills and painted the sky in the shades of amber and violet, a stranger arrived. He walked into town, wearing a long coat, stitched with threads of green and gold. Around his neck hung a curious flute, carved from pale wood and shimmering faintly, as though it held a secret of its own. His boots made no sound on the cobblestones, and when he spoke, his voice was calm but carried clearly. I hear you have a problem." The stranger offers to help. The town people turned. Mr. Dinselwick stepped forward. "And who might you be?" "A traveler," the stranger said. "A musician, if you like. Someone call me Elias." The baker crossed his arms. "If you have come to play music, you have chosen the wrong town." Elias smiled faintly. "On the contrary, music is exactly what your town needs." The crowd stirred with confusion. "What do you mean?" someone asked. "A deal." Elias lifted the flute gently, saying, "I'll get rid your town of the mice." At this, a wave of laughter rippled through the square. "You?" scoffed the blacksmith with With a flute? But Elias did not laugh. I will lead them away, he said simply, every single one. The mayor narrowed his eyes. And what would you ask for in return? Elias paused for a while before he said, 500 gold coins. The crowd gasped and responded in accord. Outrageous, ridiculous, and said, we could rebuild half of the town for that. The promise made, but Mr. Thistlewick raised a hand. If you truly can solve our problem, he said slowly, then perhaps it is a fair price. The town people muttered, but desperate weighed heavier than doubt. The mayor turned back to Elias. Very well. Remove the mice, and you shall have your gold. Elias nodded. Then listen carefully, he said. Tomorrow at dawn, no one must interfere. No one must follow. Whatever you hear, stay inside. The warning sent a cheer through the crowd, but no one argued. That night, Larkspur Lane held its breath. The music starts. At the first light of dawn, when the sky was still pale and the air cool with morning dew, Elias stood at the edge of the town square. He lifted the flute and began to play. The sound that flowed from it was unlike any music the town people had ever heard. It was soft at first, like a whisper of wind through leaves. Then it grew into a melody that curled and twisted like smoke, sweet and strange, and impossible to ignore. Mice rushing out from every corner of the town. The mice appeared. They poured from cracks in the walls, from beneath doors, from rooftops and gutters, and hidden places like no one had known existed. Thousands of them fixed their tiny eyes on Elias, their bodies moving as one. The town people watched from behind windows and curtains, their hearts pounding. The mice followed the music, step by step, street by street. Elias walked. And the mice followed Elias out of the town, down the winding road, and across the field, where the grass bent beneath their countless feet, and towards the river. Mice slipped into the river. The melody changed as they reached the water edge. It deepened, softened, and it seems to glow with a quiet sadness. Without hesitation, Elias stepped into the river. The water rose around his boots, then his knees, then his waist. Still he played, and the mice followed, one by one, hundreds by hundreds. They slipped into the river, their bodies carried by the current, but their eyes still fixed on the musician, until at last they were no more. The river flowed on, silent once more. The overjoyed town, and Elias stepped back onto the shore. The music faded. The town was free. By midday, the news spread through to Larkspur Lane like wildfire. The excited crowd shouted, "The mice are gone! Every single one, not a trace left." The reward for the work. The town people were overjoyed. They opened the doors, laughed in the streets, and swept away the last signs of the infestation. That evening, Elias returned to the town square. "I've kept my promise," he said calmly. "Now you must keep yours." Mr. Tisselwick shifted uncomfortably. He stuttered. Well, yes, about that." The mayor glanced at the other town people, who were anxious to know how the mayor was going to deal with the problem. The bargain. 500 gold coins is quite a large sum, he continued. "Perhaps we could offer something more modest. Elias' expression did not change. Then he said, "We had an agreement." The mayor said, "Yes, but surely you understand. 300. Suggested the baker quickly. "That's generous." 200, said another. "After all," added the blacksmith, "they were only mice." Elias looked at them, at their relieved smiles, their easy laughter, their willingness to forget so quickly. A warning. The mayor cleared his throat, saying, "We are offering a fair reward." Elias lowered his gaze to the flute in his hands. Then he nodded and said, "Very well." Relief spread through the crowd. Then the mayor said, 200 coins it is. But Elias raised a hand. You may understand," he said. "I accept your decision." He turned to leave, but he paused. "One more thing," he said. He added quietly, "Tomorrow at dusk, keep your children inside." Unhappy Elias walked away. A murmur of uneasy rippled through the crowd. What does he mean? Why the children? But Elias did not answer. He walked out of the Larkspur Lane. His footsteps were as silent as when he arrived. That night, the town people argued. "It's just a melody." "It's just a warning," said some. "A trick to scare us," said others. By morning, most had dismissed it entirely. "We have paid him," said the mayor. "This matter is finished." And when dusk came, the children of Larkspur Lane played as they always did. They ran through the streets, laughed in the fading light, and chased each other beneath the willow trees until a sound drifted through the air. A melody, soft, sweet, and familiar. The children stopped. They turned. And there, at the edge of the town, stood Elias, the flute at his lips. A different music. The music was different this time, brighter, lighter, like sunlight dancing on water. The children smiled. Without a word, they began to follow. Children following the music. Parents called out from doorways, "Come inside, dinner is ready." But the children did not answer. They walked, step by step, street by street, just as the mice did. Panic spread through the town. "Stop them! Someone do something!" The town people ran after them, but no matter how fast they moved, they could not catch up. The cause of a broken promise. The music seems to carry the children just beyond reach, through the fields, towards the hill, and to a narrow path no one had noticed before. Elias led them onward until at last they disappeared into the mountain. The music faded, and the silence that followed was heavier than any sound. The townspeople searched for days and then weeks, but the children were gone. Only then did they understand the cost of a broken promise. The unforgotten tale. The unforgotten tale. Years passed. Larkspur Lane recovered as towns often did. New children were born. New laughter filled the streets. But the story of Elias was never forgotten. Parents told it in harsh voices, a warning wrapped in a tale. Keep your words, they would say, or one day the music may come for you. And sometimes, on quiet evenings, when the winds curl through the willow trees, just right, the faintest echo of a flute could be heard. Not angry, not vengeful, but reminding. It is always reminding that promises once given carry a tune of their own, and if broken, they might be played again. Thank you.